For decades, he's been one of Bollywood's biggest, most bankable, and, let's be honest, most controversial stars. But who is the real Salman Khan? Well, today, we're getting into a really rare, in-depth interview where the superstar himself finally answers the charges laid against him, not in a court of law, but in the court of public opinion. So let's get into it.
Right from the jump, the host makes one thing crystal clear. This is not just some casual chat. He tells Salman, "I was looking for you for 9 years." That one line sets the stage. This is a long overdue public trial, with Salman Khan finally in the hot seat, ready to face the questions he's been dodging for years.
So let's tackle the first big allegation, the charge of hypocrisy. Is Salman Khan playing the part of a moral guardian for everyone else, while living by a totally different set of rules himself?
And this all started on his own film set. Apparently, a rule was put in place. Actresses were told to wear decent clothes, and specifically, no deep necklines. You can imagine the reaction, right? Accusations of double standards flew, especially coming from a star who is literally famous for taking his shirt off.
But here's where his defense gets really interesting. He completely flips the script. He says, look, this rule isn't about controlling women. It's about the men on set, the boys as he calls them, and the way they look at female actors. He claims he's just trying to create an environment where his co-stars don't have to deal with that uncomfortable gaze.
All right, next up, we have to talk about the anger, specifically his role as the often furious host of the reality TV show Big Boss. It's a huge part of his public image.
And this quote, wow, it just perfectly captures that intensity. After a contestant crossed the line, Salman did not hold back, delivering this incredibly raw threat. That moment, for a lot of people, really defined his persona as a host you just do not mess with.
But behind all that on-screen anger, he actually reveals a surprising amount of regret. He talks about the high-pressure environment of the show and admits that sometimes he just goes too far. He even says he feels terrible afterwards, wondering, what was the need for that? And here's the kicker. His aggression had real consequences at home. It got so bad that his own mother stopped watching the show.
Now, let's pivot to maybe the most persistent question of his entire personal life. Why on earth has Bollywood's most eligible bachelor never, ever gotten married?
I mean, come on, for decades this has been the million-dollar question. Every journalist, every fan, pretty much everyone has been asking him this for the last 20 years.
And you can tell he's had this one thrown at him a million times. He's got this witty, well-rehearsed comeback ready to go. He jokes that the timing was just never right. A whole series of missed connections. It's a classic Salman move, right? Use a bit of humor to sidestep a really personal question.
But then, the jokes stop, and we get this moment of just striking honesty. He starts talking about his string of very public breakups, and for what feels like the first time, he actually says, maybe after 4 times, the problem wasn't them. He pretty much admits the fault was with him.
And then he reveals something that goes even deeper. It turns out his desire for a family wasn't really about getting married. What he truly wanted, he says, was to be a father. He even looked into it, but found that under Indian law, it was going to be really difficult for him to have a child as a single man.
Okay, let's move on to another long-standing charge against him. That Salman Khan is an industry strongman, a bully who meddles in his films and overrides his directors and writers.
So, he takes his most recent film as a sort of case study to defend himself. He says, look, changing the title wasn't me being a bully, it was a smart marketing move to include the female audience. He calls his input on the script teamwork and a healthy discussion. And all those famous, punchy dialogues, he says a lot of them are just things he's overheard in real life and added in to make it feel more authentic.
But hold on. What if that whole bully narrative is just wrong? Because the interview also brings up some compelling evidence that instead of dividing the industry, Khan might actually be one of its great unifiers.
I mean, just look at this stuff. It paints a totally different picture. He went all out to promote the comeback of his biggest rival, Shah Rukh Khan. He teamed up with another major competitor, Akshay Kumar, for a promo video. He even gave a shout-out to Kangana Ranaut, who has been openly critical of him. And this isn't a new thing. It goes way back to when he took a supporting role that a bunch of other big stars had already said no to.
So after all of this, all the accusations and all the defenses, how does Salman Khan actually see himself? Well, this quote right here might just be the key.
He straight up admits, I've done a lot of wrong things. But he says he lives by this personal code. For every mistake he makes, he tries to do 3 good things to balance the scales.
So in the end, this interview doesn't really give us a simple verdict. What it gives us is a portrait of a man who is full of contradictions. So the final question really is for you. Based on what you've just heard from the man himself, who do you see? Is he a misunderstood protector, a guy filled with regret, or is he a master storyteller who is just in complete control of his own narrative? You be the judge.